Good seeing you, friend. I'll take your order anytime.
A word, Lady Scarlet? My people are safe once more, due almost wholly to the benevolence of the Liberation Army. The proper thanks eludes me.
Rhaenys?
In what felt like a mere moment, you've become a fine young woman.
Do you remember the day I left Albion? Back then, I didn't understand the point of it all. I cried and cried, begging to stay until my voice went hoarse. And I remember you cried with me that day.
I've spent many an idle evening since, lamenting my decision to remain behind. With only my thoughts to keep me company, I could but imagine how frightened you must have been. How alone.
I was both, at times. But my years on the island made me tougher than I could have ever expected.
Indeed they did. The woman before me now is nothing like the sobbing girl I remember.
You missed some of my finest hours, I'll have you know.
Yes, I'm painfully aware. But I refuse to miss another. My place is at your side and nowhere else. I only hope Prince Elaine sees it the same way. I suppose I'll know soon enough when I ask to join the Liberation in True.
Don't they need you here?
Perhaps, but we're all of the same mind. We do whatever is necessary to aid the Liberation.
Then come. I'm sure Elaine will be thrilled to hear the news.
Lord Jerome, sir!
Now look what you've made me do! Oh, this is far too much sugar.
Apologies, my lord. I didn't mean to startle you. Might I ask what you are making?
Just a little something for the neighbors. Not that it matters anymore. Now, I assume you've some reason for this unannounced interference?
I almost forgot! There's an armed battalion closing in on our city, my lord. It's thought to be the rebels.
They dare come here?
Apparently so. But is this not the perfect opportunity? If we join their ranks, we can finally start resisting Zenoira like we've always wanted.
I fear that's not a choice we can make. Zenoira has men stationed at just about every corner in town. So you can imagine the consequences for our citizens should we aid this liberation and lose.
I suppose so, yes.
Remember, all that we do is for the sake of our people. We'll fight the rebels, and we'll win. Now, prepare for battle, and fetch my sharpest lance. I'll be welcoming them myself. So, my road ends here. Do with me what you will. But I beg you, see that my people live out their days in peace.
Raise your head, Sir Jerome. I'd like you to brandish your lance for the liberation.
Pardon?
You are not a general of Zenoira, but the local lord of a peaceful Albion city. By all accounts, you and I have no reason to fight, and much to stand together.
You speak the truth, yes. But that doesn't change the fact that I swore fealty to Zenoira. One whose hands are as stained as mine could never deserve a place in your army.
Perhaps, had you chosen to sully them of your own volition. But I've someone here who claims quite the opposite.
It's you.
No matter what he says, Lord Jerome only ceded to Zenoira's demands to see his people safe. I can still recall the day they first invaded as though it were yesterday. He rode out to receive them, commencing negotiations in earnest before they could spill even a single drop of blood. And that was the condition for his allegiance. We would supply provisions and soldiers only if they spared our citizens.
We canvassed the city as well, yet failed to find any among its people who condemn you for defecting. They all spoke with one voice, of their lord's undying devotion to their well-being. And every army could use a leader with such dogged dedication. So I ask you again, will you join us?
As if I could refuse a request so boldly impassioned. Very well. It is with great pride and humility that I accept your offer. My lance rests with you, and with all those who have trusted me to guide them true. I'll see that it doesn't disappoint.
I'd know that voice anywhere. It's really you! Humorous! I thought my eyes deceived me. It's been so long.
A friend of yours?
In days past, yes. We were inseparable as children. And you must be Prince Elaine, I presume? You know of him? Everyone has heard stories of the Liberation Army. I take it you stand with them as well, Scarlet? Proud rebel at your service. And I see you've become a knight, just as you always dreamed. It was the only thing I could think about as a child. Those were simpler times. Happier ones. We would play in the garden until the sun went down. Our only company, the resident insects. Right, the garden. I was just talking about it. Is it still there? Indeed, and it's recently welcomed the most beautiful bloom you'll ever see. We could go back if you'd like. Relive our youth for just a moment. That would be wonderful. I'd love to show you too, Elaine. Let's all go together. It's just as beautiful as I remember it. And such an incredible smell, too.
It's stunning, yes. We never had blossoms like these back on Palavia.
We used to sit right here, braiding little crowns and necklaces out of different colored flowers. Do you remember, Humorous? You'd press and dry them for us, then... Don't move.
Explain yourself.
I won't ask twice. Relinquish Scarlet to me, or else. Humorous.
Come. It's not safe here.
Returned empty-handed, have you? It would seem your heart's just not in this little agreement of ours. A shame, but it is what it is. Consider my promise revoked.
Wait, I beg you! It's just as we thought. Scarlet stands with the rebel forces. But if we surround their limited ranks with both our armies, we should have little trouble in reclaiming her.
You presume to ask us to partake as well?
Please, my lord. This final chance is all I request.
As you wish. The girl will be ours one way or another. We can settle our agreement once she is. Just know you'll get no further kindness if you fail us now.
She won't elude our grasp again. With me, men! We make for our post at once! Why have you asked to meet me here? I could raise my sword at any moment, you know. I'm aware. But I understand why you did it. And I know you have no reason to attack me. Not anymore.
It doesn't matter. I'll never deserve your trust again.
Tell me, Humorous. Do you remember this?
I can't believe you're still holding on to that.
Why wouldn't I be? These flowers you pressed bring me straight back to the day I left Albion. You gave them to me as a symbol of our friendship, and asked me never to forget about you.
It was all I could do to get you to stop crying.
Yes, and it didn't work. Your shoulder was practically drenched with tears, and a bit of snot as well.
That was a long time ago.
Even still, whenever I felt lonely, I'd look at these flowers, and it was like you were right there next to me. I've been blessed with a great many companions since that day, but I've never once considered getting rid of them. No matter how far apart we may be, you'll always be a dear friend, Humorous.
Scarlet,
Come with us, please.
How can you say that after what I've done? I tried to betray you, to hand you off to Zenoira.
Perhaps, but that's all in the past now. So come. We've shed enough tears in this garden to last us a lifetime.
Hold! Your banners do not fly Zenoiran colors. And I cannot permit a band of armed civilians to pass without cause. Pronounce yourselves.
My name is Elaine, and we march with the Liberation Army. Our fight is one to free the peoples of this land and wrest our home from Zenoira's tyrannical clutches. You ought not have any quarrel with us. Please, stand by our side in the battles to come.
Your identities are made plain then. But it appears there's been a misunderstanding. Albion has ceded its lands to our new Emperor, Galerius. You stand on Zenoiran territory now. And not a soul among us desires liberation.
How can that be?
Sir Elaine, if you truly seek no quarrel with us, then leave this place. I will claim I saw nothing. But know, when next your gauntlets rap at our gates, you'll find neither mercy nor hesitation. Now, be gone.
Our scout has returned, Your Highness. It would seem conditions in the city are less than ideal.
Forget about valuables. The houses I saw barely had any food. These people are doing all they can just to scrape by.
Heavy taxation has left the populace with scarcely enough to eat, let alone stock their larders. And those who succumb to hunger or cold are left in the mud to await their inevitable ends. They crave freedom, desperately so.
Quite the contradiction, given the words of that knight earlier. And yet, he didn't seem to be one for deceit.
Not without reason, perhaps. But it's possible we lack the full scope of the situation.
Indeed. In any case, we cannot overlook the plight of these people. Come, we march at once.
An impressive show of strength, Sir Elaine.
Tell me, Fodokia, why did you lie to us? Your people surely seek respite from the suffering of Zenoiran rule.
You have the wrong of it. When the Empire came forth and began violating our land, I fought back with every ounce of my being. I was prepared to oppose their rule until our final soldier fell. As were my people. They stood by me and risked their very lives in defending this sacred ground. But 6 months passed, and then a year. The pain of a citizenry besieged grew fiercer and fiercer, until at last there came the breaking point. On that day, my own subjects kidnapped my son and demanded we lay down our arms.
That's horrible.
Yet it only worsened from there. By Zenoiran orders, they massacred my child and offered his corpse as a sacrifice to our new masters.
Barbarians!
I was well prepared to follow him beyond the Veil of Death, but Zenoira had no interest in executing me. They chose to leave me in power, to exploit my rage and my despair for their own nefarious purposes. So, I bent to the will of my people, and the path they chose to walk was that of subjugation.
Lord Fodokia. You might not realize this, but we've met before. Years ago when I was just a young girl. Your son and I were quite close, in fact. As for you, I remember a man of great integrity, great warmth. And though we were too young to understand much of it, you spoke often of the true makings of a lord, of the love such a role requires.
Yes, I recognize you now. You have grown so much since I saw you last. The time has finally come to see my son once again.
Not while you can still honor his memory. If you would, Scarlet.